Welcome to the pilot episode of TRIB3S, an interview series launched by Joyn. We'll be speaking to different project founders, leaders, and creators in the NFT and blockchain space. Our focus is to explore the idea of creative collaboration and co-creation. Our first guest is Joyn's own co-founder, Michael Yeung. I will kick off by asking you, Michael, to tell us about your journey and how you came about to be working in the Web3 space.
Thanks for asking. So for myself, my career has been mostly in software engineering. I've been working at startups of various sizes in North America. So roughly a decade in experience there. And then in terms of Web3, I started following like the first crypto projects like Ethereum back in around 2016. And then since then, it's mostly been like small projects and retail investments that I was dabbling with. And that lasted for a few years, saw some ups and downs with the market. And then, eventually fast forward to like, say, late 2020, beginning of 2021, started seeing some major moves around NFT as a technology. There's a lot of artists coming onto the scene who are interested. So I started talking to them more and then, hanging out with them, asking about their journey or their interest in the space. And I started collecting some NFTs myself. And then kind of here we are.
Here we are down the rabbit hole of NFTs, as I'm sure many co-founders have recently experienced. Do you have any favorite artists or NFTs that you collected?
Yeah, definitely. There are some artists and projects that have already gained pretty good traction. Of course, Bored Ape, World of Women, and then individual artists like Siobhan Wang, Ronald Ong, like Archinair, and then also a lot of emerging artists that I'd like to shift my focus to these days. To name a couple, Armin, really cool wildlife photographer from Iran, and then we have Artemis, who focuses on AI generative art. So a lot of diverse genres that are interesting. Yeah.
I love to see the multiplicity of genres you collect across both art and collectibles. It sounds like you have real tap on the space. So within all of that, how did Joyn come about? What's the story there?
Yeah. So the first semblance of this idea came about early last year when we were talking to more creators. So back then, the common theme was that this is a really exciting emerging space, a lot of opportunities for artists, but at the same time, there's a lot of problems around barriers to entry. The average artist coming into the scene also struggle to understand the technology implication, business implication, and also sometimes the actual financial barrier to entry, which is like the gas cost and so on, for them to actually experiment freely. So that became a problem space that we identified. And then we know it's not going to change anytime soon because the technology is pretty early on. So with that, we started exploring some solutions with the idea of trying to develop something that can help creators level the playing field, so to speak. So that led us to some basically different experiments and community programs, and then kind of been evolving on. And then we eventually attended a business accelerator. And after that, we started fundraising. We actually completed a seed round recently, and then started building our team. And now we're going into something more formal, more solidified development process with a premise of, building a platform to facilitate co-creation for artists and communities in the space.
It's an exciting stage right now. I can imagine how overwhelming it must be as well to be juggling all the different moving elements. You mentioned co-creation. It hasn't been used as much, and often they're used interchangeably, co-creation, collaboration. Maybe could we dive into this part a bit more? What does it mean to you and why is it important?
Yeah. So I would say co-creation is a type of collaboration, but with the emphasis of creating something out of nothing. So let's say in an art contest, right? For musicians, sometimes they have all these different alleys of creating with others, like direct collaboration, like producing a track together, or even remixing, which it doesn't involve direct collaboration with another person. You just take the output of it. So applying to the Web3 context, I would say co-creation is really something where it's not just between artists anymore, but also with other contributors like developers or someone who takes on the business aspects of it, and also eventually expanding to include your community members as well. So in the gist of it, it's really about co-creating a new brand or a new experience from the bottom up.
That is very exciting, Ali, to explore, especially when new platforms outside of the visual medium are picking up. I think we'll see much more of that. But looking back in retrospective and like just having your tap on the space, like what are some of the challenges you see the current NFT focused projects founders are facing, especially when they're trying to build their community or encourage collaboration and co-creation?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's a great question. So when we talk to these NFT projects, there are some common themes about the challenges that they face. One is definitely the technological aspect, because there's not a lot of readily available tools or very mature tools. Every project feels like they have to build a lot of things themselves in-house. And with that, you come with a resource constraint problem, because not everyone has that sort of developer power or even just capital to build these things from scratch. These take dedicated players in the space to focus on. Another common thing is this continual engagement with the community, because a lot of the projects that became a thing was, they drop some sort of NFT collection. Ideally, they sell out, but then from that limited set of resources, they have to sustain that brand. And they haven't quite figured out their relationship with the community. Sometimes they see them as, are they customers, one-time collectors, or the investors, or like, what was that relationship? So they're almost like they have this indefinite obligation, and then they have to sustain that relationship and engagement with very limited capital. So this is something that people are still trying to struggle to figure out.
That's a really good point, especially because it's such an emerging economy. We're still yet to see solidified use cases and trajectories of growth for these projects. And it's exciting to see that there are tools being built out there to enable that. Just on the final notes, maybe like are there any like projects you're excited about looking forward?
Yeah, in terms of projects, I'm definitely most excited about Joyn myself, if I may say so. But yeah, I think in general, it's excited to see a lot of experiments going on around, DAO tooling or creator platforms or NFT marketplaces and so on. And I think all these different experiments in combination, eventually some sort of good solutions will emerge where they will empower creators for them to sustain a career in a Web3 context. And of course, longer term, I'm really excited to see more, say, Web3 native brands being openly co-created, like the next Marvel or Disney, where the brand IPs are owned by the communities and everyone involved share that ownership, share that wealth, and share that cloud, right? And then they get to participate directly. Very exciting future.
Thanks for sharing that. Yes, I really enjoyed learning about Joyn and the journey and the trajectory that it's taking. And we also look forward to welcoming our future guests on the series. So stay tuned and don't forget to join our Discords and follow us on Twitter, as well as Michael on Twitter. He's always available to answer any questions about Joyn or his collection.
Awesome. All right, thank you.